Welcome to the Disgruntled Losers Bad Boys 3.0 edition, where on this glorious Tuesday night, the Detroit Pistons win Game 1 of Round 2 versus the Cleveland Cavaliers 111-101 at Little Caesars Arena. Now, this was a monkey the Pistons had to get off their back. They had lost, not only had they lost their last 6 Game 1s, they had lost their last 12 consecutive playoff games to Cleveland/LeBron. Now, it does go all the way back to 2007, where we were up 2-0 on a young LeBron, and then they win 4 in a row. That was the year that he does the 25 straight points thing in the Eastern Conference Finals. Then if you go back to 2009, that same young LeBron actually just ended the Bad Boys 2.0 version of the Pistons with a first-round sweep. And then back in 2016, the veteran LeBron version, when he comes back to Cleveland, sweeps the Reggie Jackson, Andre Drummond version of the Pistons on their way to Cleveland's first championship. I know the first round series didn't go exactly how we wanted, but I was shocked to see the price of tickets to Game 1 of a second round NBA playoff series. You could get in the building for under $100. Now, I want to give shout out to Andrew and Rachel for making the trip. They sent me the picture. They were there. Looked like they had a blast. From the TV, it sounded loud as heck in there tonight. There's a couple times in the notes here where I shout out how loud the fans sounded, but was shocked. So I guess this is more of a public service announcement where if you want to go to a Pistons playoff game, this is the second round. This isn't just any playoff game now at this point. Ticket prices ain't bad. I would jump on them now before we go any farther. The hype is just going to get more, especially after what happened tonight. I usually like to start with the broadcast crew, and we're on NBC/Peacock, so we get a good crew. So we get the Noah Eagle, Grant Hill, Robbie Humble combination. Now, the hilarious part about this is Noah Eagle is the play-by-play guy, and he is by far the most in tune with what's going on with the game. I like Robbie. He does a great job with college basketball. I just haven't loved the 2 NBA games I've seen him do in the playoffs here. And then I really think the problem is the pairings both times have been average for him. And I know people are going to say, what am I saying with he got paired with Grant Hill tonight? Grant Hill just doesn't do it for me on the broadcasting side of things. I'm sorry. I know that maybe Pistons fans might not like me saying that, but Grant just doesn't do it for me. Either way, let's move on to the matchups. Now, Game 1 of a playoff series, the first thing you got to look at is what are the coaches thinking as far as what are the matchups going to be. Now, right off the bat, Cleveland's side of things, you see they put Evan Mobley on Ausar Thompson. Now, this is done very strategically because Ausar Thompson is not a three-point shooter, and so this allows Evan Mobley to just roam the paint. So he can really lay off Thompson, he can roam the paint, and you'll see that in the game notes a little bit where he gets a couple easy blocks just because he can lay off Thompson. That was just a matchup that we're going to have to watch because we didn't play a Mobley-like defender in the first round. The one matchup that stuck out like a sore thumb right away is Cleveland decides to go Dean Wade on Cade to start the game. And honestly, I think that's what they're going to do for the series. And Pistons fans should be happy about that matchup to keep it short and sweet. They go James Harden on Tobias Harris, which I think is good for the Pistons in the fact that Tobias is one of our only isolation guys, and so he might be able to get the ball and work Harden a little bit and just make Harden work a little bit on defense. And at this point in Harden's career, if you make him work on defense at all, the offensive game just goes down that much quicker. He just only has so much left in his legs, and Harden played just fine tonight. He actually played well tonight. At the same time, this is the playoffs, the NBA playoffs. It's a long grind. I would be shocked if Harden is able to summon up 3-4 games this series to carry this team. So they go Donovan Mitchell on Duncan Robinson, which, again, a little surprising to me because Duncan Robinson runs the most by far, so that's going to just drain Mitchell's energy defensively. So I know, there's only so much they can do because you're not going to put Mitchell on Cade, I guess, but all positive signs for the Pistons when we look at these matchups. The Allen Duren matchup is going to go both ways, and that's going to be consistent throughout the whole series. There's no hiding either one of those two on anybody else, and so it's just man up who's going to be bigger tonight. And tonight, Duren was bigger. Simple as that. Flip it to the other side. We go Cade on James Harden. So this is 2 rounds in a row where Cade has taken a primary assignment on defense. So last round when Franz was healthy, he was on Franz, and this round, Cade is on James Harden. That is something that you don't see basically any place else in the NBA from your number one. Now, I know Cade's young, and I know, again, kind of what I said about Cleveland, you got to guard somebody. And with Cade's size, and Harden moves when he has the ball, but when Harden doesn't have the ball, he actually kind of just stands still. So that maybe that's what JB's thinking, is maybe Cade actually doesn't have to work as much because Harden does stand around a lot. But Asur Thompson on Donovan Mitchell, the obvious matchup there. Gotta love our chances. If anybody's going to slow down Donovan Mitchell, first team all defense, Asur Thompson is a good bet. We go Tobias Harris on Evan Mobley, which is not a problem. Evan Mobley, he's got more size than him and probably has a little bit more weight than him, but he's not really a back to the basket, back you down type of player. Again, Duren on Allen, and then Duncan Robinson on Dean Wade for us. So let's get to the game notes. First note I have is the Cavs actually dominate the boards early. It does look like, this might be the first round all over again where Allen's getting the best of Duren right away. But at the same time, this game's moving very slow at the beginning. It does seem like both teams are trying to figure each other out. It does seem like both teams just got out of a tough first round matchup, and they're not looking to come out throwing haymakers like they did in the first round. Just much different from the chaos that Suggs and Bane and the rest of that Magic team brought to the Pistons in the first round. So this just immediately feels like a different game in a positive way, in a way that these are the type of games that Pistons won all season. We do seem a little bit tougher than the Cavs. We do seem a little bit more athletic than the Cavs. We do seem a little bit faster than the Cavs. It does seem like us getting out in transition bothers the Cavs more than it did Orlando. So it does seem like this matchup is a lot better than the first round. And I think you might see that it doesn't go 7 games.
Oh my God.
Either way, let's get back to the game notes.
Oh my God.
8:22 to go in the first quarter. Duncan Robinson hits a tough three. Nice to see Duncan Robinson coming out aggressive. Now, he does this a lot at the beginning of the game or the beginning of the third quarter where, it seems like we have a play drawn up for him right off the bat. And then after that, he kind of just disappears. So we would like to see him stay more engaged than just this one note by hitting a three early. And he does a little bit tonight. So we're gonna get to that, though. 7:39 to go in the first quarter. Duren tries a crossover dribble on Allen. He gets swatted by Mobley. That kind of goes back to that point I made about how Mobley's laying off of Thompson and he's able to cover the paint. And Duren thinks he's got a wide open left-handed layup after he gets by Allen. And it's just not the case because Mobley's sitting there licking his chops waiting. 7 minutes to go in the first quarter. Cade gets his shot at the elbow. He's making it look easy early. The overall note I have on Cade, because you're actually not going to see a lot of individual notes here, especially through the middle part of the game, is that he was in control the whole game. Not many bad shots. I shouldn't say no bad shots, but not very many bad shots. A few less turnovers than he had. Just wasn't forcing it, wasn't pushing it because we didn't have to. I know the Cavs end up, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's get back to the game notes here. First substitution was Jenkins for Cade at the 6:30 mark. I thought this was interesting just because it was different than what we did in round one. I liked it, made a lot of sense. You're going to see a lot of these 2-minute stretches where Cade just gets quick breaks and comes back in. It just let Jenkins play with better players, and it just helps to play with better players. And so you saw Jenkins play a lot of minutes tonight, and he played well. And I think JB will stick with this rotation of getting Cade off early in the first quarter for a quick breather and getting Jenkins in with the starters. Cade sits for 2 minutes, comes back in with Stewart and LeVert. Thompson and Jenkins stay in. So at this point, we have 4 shooters if you count Stewart as a shooter, and obviously Asur Thompson is not a shooter at this point. But with 3 minutes to go in the first quarter, Thompson gets a steal, gets into the paint, makes a nice pass to Stewart for an easy layup. The note is Thompson looks faster, he looks stronger, he looks more athletic than everybody on the floor. He could easily be the X factor of this series. Pistons up 30-14 early with 2:45 to go in the first quarter. After a quick 15-3 run, Holland and Duren come back in, and Stewart and Thompson go out. So we're kind of keeping that, if you call Holland a shooter, again, we have 4 shooters on the floor because we're really playing Jenkins a lot of minutes tonight. And the more you play Jenkins, the more you have shooters on the floor. A minute 40 to go in the first quarter. Duren rises up on 1 foot like Dirk and hits a 17-footer in Mobley's face. I mean, when that goes in, you got to just think to yourself, everything is going right for the Pistons. A minute 24 to go in the first quarter. Holland passes on a wide open 3. I think he just needs to shoot it. Holland, if you're going to have a long career in the NBA, you need to shoot, and you need to shoot with confidence. So just let it fly. The next note I have is Schroeder and Jenkins start having a little fun jawing back and forth towards the end of the first quarter, but this is a fairly quiet game on the talking side compared to the Bane, Suggs, Paolo trio of the first round that we dealt with Orlando. So I think you'll keep hearing that note throughout, and I think part of that is James Harden and Donovan Mitchell have just been there, done a little bit before, maybe not done everything, but done enough where they're not going to come out chirping right off the bat. That's just not really their game, and so it just feels different than round one in just so many ways. Next note I have is Green subs in at the very end of the first for Jenkins. He immediately hits a buzzer-beating three. The next note I have is we played 10 guys in the first half, and it wasn't like we played 10 guys large minutes. And you'll see, I think once we get into the second half, the rotations do tighten up. But, it's still very rare to see NBA teams playing 10 guys this deep into the playoffs. So I just always like to point that out because it's a very interesting note. But end of the first quarter, Pistons are up 37-21. Pistons fans are enjoying life. That we look great up to this point. Second quarter, 9:46 to go in the second quarter. Thompson picks up his second foul, but you can tell he's feeling himself just by the way he was moving. Just his movements are disrupting Cleveland's offense in a way that he is just so fast moving side to side that Mitchell and Harden have just that much harder time getting by him, and it's really disrupting Cleveland's offense up to this point. 9 minutes to go in the second quarter. The note I have is the crowd has been great. I could hear the Detroit basketball from about 50 miles away. So crowd, if you were there tonight, pat yourself on the back. You did a great job. 8:44 to go in the second quarter. Missed call by the officials. He had a tough angle on the play. It was Thompson's quote-unquote third foul. JB does challenge it. Great challenge. One of those where we didn't get the immediate possession, but it was worth challenging because it takes Thompson from 3 fouls back down to 2 fouls, which allows him to play a lot more freely on defense. And then JB does his signature move where every time he challenges a play where he knows he's going to win, he complains to the official and he gives a, "What are you doing, man? What are you looking at?" And it's hilarious. Every single time JB challenges and he knows he's going to win, he gives the official crap. 8 minutes to go in the second quarter. Teams trade threes. At this point, Pistons are up 44-33. Cavs are just sticking around. They're staying in it. Even midway through the second quarter, we cannot put them away. 6:35 to go in the second quarter. Thompson goes right at Thompson Bryant's chest, makes a tough layup. Asur Thompson looks and is playing confident tonight. 5:30 to go in the second quarter. Harris, 3 from Cade, lead back up to 14. 4:30 to go in the second quarter. Jenkins to Thompson. Detroit 52, Cleveland 35. At this point again, it looks like we're starting to pull away. It just doesn't quite happen to the extent that we want it to, especially in the first half and then definitely not in the second half. 3:21 to go in the second quarter. Thompson gets that big block in transition where they think they have an easy layup and he kind of comes in and he's probably hand at 12 feet at its max and he just comes in flying and pins that one against the backboard. And it's one of those where, he comes down and he stays down behind the play and we're assuming he's healthy because he's so young and he gets up every time. But man, God, I hope he gets up every time. He's got to be careful, going all out on those transition blocks. That's how you roll an ankle. Sir, we need you, buddy. Make sure it's worth it. 2 minutes to go in the half. Holland gets an and one in transition. He misses the free throw, and then he fouls Harden on the other end, just on a dumb foul. You got the whole Ron Holland experience in about 15 seconds there where he makes a nice chaos play, and then at the same time he tries to use that same chaos, but Harden's too smart and he draws the foul. 59-46 at halftime. The note I have at halftime is Cade is really letting everybody else get going. Like I said at the beginning of the game, he's not forcing anything. If he feels like the team needs a basket, he'll try to get to a spot, he'll try to get the shot, or he'll see if the double team comes and he'll get rid of it. He's always making the right play. He's not forcing it. It was really good to see by Cade tonight. Third quarter. Funny enough, here's the note. Duncan Robinson comes out, hits a 3 to start the third quarter. This seems to happen to start the game, to start the third quarter. Every time, we have a large break, whether it be between games or at halftime, it seems like we drop a play for Duncan Robinson because that's a good play for the Pistons, and then we never seem to get back to it. We do get a couple more. Duncan does. I think he probably hits about 5 threes tonight, so he does do pretty well getting his shots up, but man, I just would love to see Duncan just even more. Let him fly, buddy. 10:41 to go in the third quarter. Duncan Robinson shoots twice on the possession. Both times, ball never touches the rim. The first one was a floater defended by Mobley, which Duncan just throws up to the ceiling, and he airballs it by a mile. We get the offensive rebound. We kick it around. It ends up back at Duncan Robinson for a shot clock buzzer beater three that is nothing but net. So, like I said, he goes up 2 shots. Neither of them hit the rim. One of them's an airball. One of them's a swoosh. 64-48 Pistons at this point in the third. So, comfortable. Can't put him away. 9:51 to go in the third. Duncan Robinson picks up his 4th foul. He's pretty smart at this point. So even with 4 fouls, Duncan's going to play how Duncan plays. He knows if he fouls out that it's not the end of the world. So if he has to, body up Harden on defense because he got switched onto him, he's going to do it. So I do appreciate that Duncan understands how to play with 4 fouls. Kind of same with Tobias Harris if he ever gets himself in that situation. These guys understand what they have to do. And it's nice to have a couple veterans. This is what the Pistons were missing. This is why we had lost so many playoff games in a row. This is why we had lost so many game ones in a row, is just because we hadn't had veteran guys like Tobias and Duncan Robinson to just do smart things on the basketball court consistently to help us win. 9:15 to go in the third quarter. The note I have is Duran's being aggressive on offense in a good way, besides that silly one-footed step back he hit in the first half. Most of his stuff's going to the rim, and he's not doing too much fancy dribbling. But he does get denied twice at the rim on this possession, and that's going to happen sometimes because Allen and Mobley are 2 good rim protectors, and you have to keep pressuring the rim. You can't stop, even if you get blocked once or twice. So I do appreciate Duran and all the Pistons pressuring the rim consistently this game. Even if it failed once, we came right back to it, tried it again, really showed up on the screen. 7:56 to go in the third quarter. The crowd erupts as Ausar Thompson gets a fast break dunk. The crowd really loves when Ausar Thompson makes an impact. It's just one of those things where he brings the entire energy up in the arena. You can feel it. He's just a game changer, and I love it. 7 minutes to go in the third quarter. Strus hits a 3. Cleveland's only down by 9 at this point. It's 71-62 to go in the third quarter. They just keep hanging around. And I think you're going to see a lot of this Strus hits a 3 note. He was good for them tonight, and he was good for them around 1. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more Strus. Doesn't scare me, but that's kind of what Cleveland's got. 4:50 to go in the third quarter. Cade gets fouled by Tyson. I just had to mention it because for all the fantasy football fans out there that just got done watching his brother's film from draft season, he was the one that went to New Orleans from Arizona State. So, yeah, shout out to Tyson. Shout out to the Tyson brothers. 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. We get 3 by Mitchell, layup by Strus, Schroeder, down to a 4-point game. 2:25 left in the third quarter, 75-71 Detroit. So that 14, 16, 12-point lead that we had consistently throughout the back end of the first half into the third quarter is now down to 4 points. Very next possession, Cade gets to the hoop, Cade gets a layup. Kind of like I said, he knew when we needed it, and right then we needed it. But sure enough, Strus comes back down, hits another 3, 77-74, down to 3 points. We go back and forth until the end of the third, where Holland, if you watch this, I'm sure this one's going to be on social in a little bit. Holland hits what I call a no business buzzer beater, which means he had no business hitting that buzzer beater. Crowd goes insane, kind of like Ausar Thompson. When Ron Holland makes plays, the crowd just really reacts to it in a positive way, and it's just awesome to see. Start of the fourth quarter, Pistons are up 83-76 now. Strus right back at it, but Schroeder gets a dumb tee. Cade misses the free throw, but I just felt like it just plucked a little momentum from the Cavs that they had going there. The Holland 3 really plucked a lot of the momentum at the end of the third quarter, but that tee was just dumb, because he was trying to get something going, and it clearly didn't work, and it just backfired. And I know Cade missed the free throw, but you could tell the entire Cavs team was a little frustrated at Schroeder after he did that. It was like, all right, if you're going to do something stupid, at least make sure the Pistons do something stupid too. You're not the only one that's allowed to be doing the stupid thing. But then, sure enough, 11 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, Schroeder hits a 3. Again, 3-point game. That's just what gets Schroeder going, I guess. I shouldn't say I guess. Of course, I know this. He was on our team. Holland is playing to start the fourth quarter, and obviously, I keep mentioning he hit that turnaround 3 to end the third quarter. And JB, I guess credit to him. He's just trying to see if he can keep that magic going and that energy going that Holland had. But it was a little surprising to see Holland getting fourth quarter minutes in a tight playoff game in the second round. 9:40 to go in the fourth quarter. Robinson hits a 3 after Duran gets an offensive rebound and kicks it out. That happened a few times. Duran For all the crap we gave him in the first round, for all the crap I've been giving him, he did what he had to do tonight. He made an impact, and specifically on the offensive boards, he made an impact. We're going to get to the box score here in a little bit, but I just feel like he must have had 5, 6, 7 offensive rebounds. And in a good 3 or 4 of them, he was able to either go back up and get a dunk, or he kicked it out for a 3. Or, and those offensive rebound kickouts usually lead to really good 3-point looks, and we got those from Duren tonight. So just had to give him his flowers for as much crap as he's taken over the last 2 weeks. Very next play in the fourth quarter, Duncan Robinson hits a floater. He gets the foul. He gives James Harden a little love, and Harden gives him a little two-handed shove back. That is about the most you're going to see, these two teams jawing back and forth. Now, I shouldn't say that because they're going to get frustrated with each other, and once we get late in the series, I'm sure just tired and frustration will lead to jawing and shoving, but this just is not the Orlando I want to fight you and bite you series that we had in the first round. Under 9 minutes to go, Duren and Harris come out, Stewart and Thompson come back in. JB's really trying to keep the 4 shooters on the floor at all times. And really what that means is limiting Asur Thompson and Jalen Duren's minutes on the floor at the same time. Now, there's some times where you have to play them both because they're both going to play high 30s minutes, but you will see JB do his best to limit the amount of minutes that Duren and Thompson play together. Once we get under 5 minutes here, let's just really get into how these possessions go, because this is really where the Pistons pull away. Even though we both went 7 games in the first round, the Pistons looked fresher in this game than the Cavs did. The Cavs looked like they were the team that had the 7-game first round playoff series, and it almost looked like the Pistons had a couple days off and were just ready to roll for this series. The Pistons did not look like they just got out of a tough series. Besides the fact that Cade was chilling, everybody else, maximum energy, maximum efficiency, maximum, this is the playoffs, we need to be urgent. It was just awesome to see. So here we go. 5:30 to go in the fourth quarter. Harden draws a foul while shooting a 3. He makes them all. We're tied at 93. Very next possession, Cade gets a good look at 3. So, a lot of times I get on Cade for taking bad 3s in these situations. Defense is going under the screen on him, so he gets a wide open look at the 3. Comes up a little short. That's all right. Very next possession, Duren picks him up with a block on Harden. Right after that, Cade gets Duren an easy dunk. Cade gets Duren another easy dunk. Cade gets Duren another easy dunk. Pistons fans are going wild. Finally, Harden gets a floater to go to stop the run a little bit. Jenkins goes right back and hits a jumper from the elbow. Mitchell does draw a foul on the next possession, but he misses one of the free throws. Now, I know Cleveland basically makes all their free throws tonight, but, it was a missed free throw with 3:30 to go, and I always like to point those out because those just feel like they count double when you're missing free throws in a 2, 3, 4-point game. So at this point, though, it's Detroit 101, Cleveland 96. Very next possession, Cade gets an 8-foot jumper to go, gets a lot of space, gets a lot of separation. It looks exactly like how SGA does it. They can be similar players at times, and Cade's making it look easy at this point. Very next possession, Mitchell misses the layup. Very tough rebound by Tobias Harris. Tobias had another game. We're going to get to it in the box score. I want to give Tobias a couple flowers too. Tobias, this is the 4th game in a row, 4 to 5 games in a row where Tobias has showed out. Tobias is really showing out lately. Hopefully we can keep his minutes at a reasonable level where we can keep this going, because this is great. The only bad note I have under 5 minutes for the Pistons is with like a minute 30 to go, Pistons up 5 or 6. Jenkins has Duncan Robinson wide open in the corner. And you'll see Duncan Robinson, if you watch this play or if you see the replay, lose his mind that he didn't get the ball, because Duncan Robinson wide open in the 3 for a corner, or for a corner 3, he gets the ball like 100% of the time. Like, nobody misses that pass. And I don't know why, but Jenkins didn't pass the ball. He ends up getting into the paint and airballing a layup, and we end up getting a 24-second violation. And Duncan Robinson is still pissed after the play, but he gets back on D. But I was shocked by that. Jenkins had a great game, but I was shocked by that decision. And after that, the score's 105-98. Just under a minute to go, we get one more stop. And like I said, in a 7-point game with just under a minute to go, Cleveland visibly gives up. And kind of like I said, they looked tired from the beginning. Something to monitor with them. Let's get to the box score. So we got to start with the engine that makes everything go. So Cade does play 42 minutes tonight, which, looking at the box score for the first time, that is a little bit more than I thought. I thought JB got him off for a couple more stretches, but that looks like about two of those 2.5, 3-minute stretches that he got him off for. So anyways, Cade plays 42 minutes. He goes for 23 points, 6 of 19 shooting, 2 of 5 from 3, 9 of 11 from the free throw line. That's good to see. 3 rebounds, 7 assists, only 4 turnovers right there. Big. Only 4 turnovers. 2 steals, plus 12 in the box plus minus. Directly to Jalen Duren. 35 minutes, 11 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists. Like I said, those 4 assists, and I think those are coming off offensive rebounds, and I think a lot of those are 3-pointers. Those are 4 big assists. And here we go. So, like I said, 12 rebounds, 7 offensive rebounds, plus 17 in the box plus minus for Jalen Duren. Now, I know I love cherry picking box plus minuses. It felt like plus 17 for Duren. It felt like he had that impact. And, this is another game where Sir Thompson, I keep saying I like his impact, and I think he's doing great. -9 in the box plus minus. Chalk it up to a little unlucky. Felt like I liked everything I saw from him tonight. He was aggressive on offense in the right ways. He goes 11 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 turnover. 5 assists, 1 turnover from a Sir Thompson is winning basketball. We're going to win a lot of games when he brings that to the table. 28 minutes for Duncan Robinson. He goes for 19 points on 5 of 8 shooting from 3. This was his playoff high for this year, the 19 points. It felt like it. 28 minutes. He's played more minutes. He could be even more aggressive. Duncan, 5 threes. Can we get 12 up? I mean, I'm being serious. The more, the merrier for Duncan. When you're in the game, we need you to shoot, buddy. The more you can get, keep working around those screens. You got James Harden on you sometimes. He ain't going to chase you, man. Get out there. We need you getting 12 up. That would just be such a difference. If Duncan Robinson is getting 10 threes or more a game, this is a short series. It's just that simple. Tobias Harris, 39 minutes. Ooh, okay. Love it. He played great. Just got done giving him his flowers. We got to be careful with 39 minutes for Tobias Harris. So he goes for 20 points. He goes 6 of 14 shooting, 1 of 5 from 3. Didn't feel like it was an issue. 7 of 8 from the free throw line. He's getting to the free throw line, and you can tell when he feels like the defense is off balance or they're out of position, he goes right into the chest and he draws the foul, and he's done it very good in these playoffs. Getting to the bench, Isaiah Stewart plays 13 minutes. He scores 6 points. He grabs 3 rebounds. Now, I know in the first round, Pistons fans were clamoring for more Isaiah Stewart minutes, and I say Pistons fans, I'm the one with the microphone. I was 100% wanting more Isaiah Stewart minutes. I was saying things like I wanted him to start some of these second halves when Duren wasn't playing good. When Game 6 came around, there was a text message that I sent that said, we probably should start Isaiah Stewart. But it's very obvious that, if we just look at actions over words, Jalen Duren is more a part of the Detroit Pistons core moving forward than Isaiah Stewart is. And so even though Isaiah Stewart may have been a better matchup for one playoff series, the Pistons are going to ride Jalen Duren out. Is what you're seeing. The rotation tightened up a little bit tonight. Stewart played 13 minutes. Ron Holland played 10 minutes just because he hit a couple shots and was aggressive. Javonte Green played 3 minutes. It was just those 3 minutes at the end of the quarter there where he hit that one shot. Karis LeVert played 9 minutes, and it did seem like he came out with some energy. And then Dennis Jenkins played 29 minutes, so I buried the lead there with the bench. It really was a 6-man plus a couple bridges is what I would call them to get our starters just little breathers. So really we played 6 guys substantial minutes, which is more in line with what you'll see across the NBA. So I know I made the comment earlier that JB played a lot of guys in the first half, but looking at the box score now, this is pretty consistent with what you'll see across the NBA with 6 guys playing major minutes, and then you got Stewart, Holland, Green, and LeVert coming in for little stretches just to give guys breathers. Getting to the Cavs side of things, Donovan Mitchell plays 35 minutes. He scores 23 points on 9 of 19 shooting, 4 of 10 from 3. He only gets 2 free throws. Now, to me, it did not feel like Donovan Mitchell was getting himself in the paint, and did not feel like he deserved any more free throws than that. I don't know what the storylines are going to be coming out of this, if he's going to get in front of a microphone and start complaining that he didn't get enough calls. But to me, 2 free throws, that was about as aggressive as Mitchell was tonight. He gets 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 turnovers. Was a good player, but was not a we're going to beat the number 1 seed in the East player tonight. James Harden goes 35 minutes, scores 22 points on 6 of 15 shooting, 1 of 7 from 3. He goes 9 of 9 from the free throw line, and he did the James Harden thing where if you stick your arm out, he's going to draw the foul, so you got to be careful. Danish Jenkins learned the hard way. Ron Holland learned the hard way. Asar Thompson learned the hard way. And I think as this series goes on, everybody I just named is pretty young, that they'll do a little bit better job at understanding that Harden is really good at drawing fouls, and we're going to just adjust to that. So, like I said, he goes 22 points, 7 assists, 7 turnovers, 8 rebounds, 1 steal, 2 blocks for him. The 7 turnovers were loud, I will say. It felt like of those 7 turnovers, 3 or 4 of them ended up by easy dunks on the other side. So I will say I think Harden played fine tonight, but those 7 turnovers in a 10-point game was one of the keys. Evan Mobley played 35 minutes, 14 points for him on 6 of 11 shooting, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 blocks. He got a couple early, and then we kind of avoided him a little bit. If you're going to bring up the box plus minus, Evan Mobley's negative 18. That's the worst on Cleveland. I don't know if he necessarily was the worst player on Cleveland, but he did not make a giant impact on the defensive end, which he is going to have to if Cleveland's going to win this series. Now, Jared Allen played 18 minutes. Did he get hurt? Huh. No, they just went small. So Jared Allen plays 18 minutes, scores 2 points, 3 rebounds, a complete non-factor. I just had to pause and double check to make sure he didn't get hurt. So Dean Wade was the last starter for Cleveland. Like I said, if that is their strategy to guard Kane Cunningham is with Dean Wade, God bless you, Cleveland. Max Strus is the one guy off the bench that plays big minutes for him. So Strus goes 28 minutes. He scores 19 points, 4 of 8 from 3. The 4 threes were loud, though. He hit 4 very timely threes while the Cavs were mounting that comeback. He was a very big part of that comeback. All right. Big picture notes for the series. I would say if you're a Pistons fan, you really liked the way we won tonight. This game, like I said before, looked like how we won during the regular season. We won by being bigger, stronger, faster, younger, more athletic, just fresher. And I made the joke that doesn't win playoff games in the first round. Well, right now with this Cleveland team looking the way they are, that one game won, and we'll see if Cleveland can get a different energy for game 2. But I was just shocked by the overall vibe and demeanor of Cleveland. It did not scream we're chasing a championship. It screamed 1, 2, 3 Cancun. Now, I'm not saying sweep, but man, I think Vegas is going to think 5 games is a reasonable outcome for this series now. So we are back on the every other day schedule, which is wonderful for the NBA playoffs. It really gets you in a rhythm. It really gets you into the series. You get to watch it one night. You get to digest it the next night. And we're right back at it the next night. So Thursday, 7 o'clock, Prime Video, Detroit Pistons, Cleveland Cavaliers, Game 2. I'll talk to you after that, guys.